Hello guys, welcome to the video. My name is Anthony. I take this opportunity to welcome you all, and it's my hope that you are well prepared to learn today. We're continuing still with the topic that we had started last time, where we're focusing on emotional intelligence. And in our today's topic, we're going to look at stress management, and we're going to see what we'll uncover when it comes to this topic. So I do hope that you are well expectant and that this topic will benefit you for today. So as we begin this topic, it's very important for us to understand stress. We understand that as leaders, you cannot avoid stress completely because of the nature of work that you are called to do. It involves a lot of stretching, it involves a lot of hard work, it involves a lot of responsibility, and therefore because of this you will be constantly under pressure and you need to know how to manage this stress, otherwise it will affect you. So before I begin, I think it's very important to define what stress is. And stress is defined as the emotional, the mental, and the physical strain that occurs when demand exceeds capacity. So it's the emotional, the mental, and physical strain that occurs when demand exceeds capacity. So this happens to a person in the emotional capacity, in the mental capacity, and also physically it can happen to you as a person. So when you are overstretched beyond what your faculties can handle, beyond what your emotional capacity is, beyond what your mental capacity is, and beyond what your physical capacity can handle, then that is what we call stress. It just means pressure that is exerted on a thing that it can no longer bear. Okay, so when it comes to leadership, what are the causes of stress? So I'll just go through them roughly and we can just have an understanding of what causes stress. So number one is public expectation. So any leader that is called into the public space, there are people that have chosen you to represent them in one capacity or the other. And because these people have chosen you, there are expectations that these people have towards you. There are things that are of concern to them that you should deliver. And different people have different expectations of you. And because people are not wired the same, these different expectations sometimes may cause these people to give you pressure, because everyone expects you to deliver something in their own time. So they don't have the full understanding that there might be constraints as to your rate of delivery, and therefore there might be delays. So because of this lack of information, pressure might come from the public concerning things that they were expecting you to deliver. Okay, so number two, another cause of stress is criticism. This is normal because as a leader you are in the public space, you're in the limelight, and you are open to criticism. Criticism is just basically critiquing of the things that you're doing. When someone looks at you, everyone will have an opinion as to how you're supposed to do a particular thing. So you cannot avoid criticism. It comes with the territory. Then number three, pressure. When you are stepping into leadership, and especially if it's your first time, there will be a lot of pressure. There will be a lot of pressure, both external and internal. External being that there are people that want to discredit you, there are people that want to question your capacity, your qualifications, and there will also be internal pressure whereby you might doubt yourself. Do I have the capacity to deliver? Since you have never been in that position before. So pressure comes both internally and externally. Then the next point is responsibility. As a leader, you're called to be in charge of different things depending on the area of leadership that you have been called into. Therefore, the amount of responsibility, the type of responsibility, the sensitivity of the responsibility, and the urgency of the responsibility that you are in charge of determines the level of stress that you will undergo. Some leaders are in positions that are highly critical, and every decision that you make has great consequences. So that responsibility comes with a lot of pressure and stress. Then the next point is the opposition pressure. Especially in the political field, you find out that there are people that will always be opposed to you. There's no leadership position within the political space that it's only one person who has interest. Very many people see themselves as the potential replacement or as potential candidates for that position, and therefore they will look for any loopholes that you have, any mistakes that you do, so that they can use it as points to look for votes whenever they're discrediting you and they want to appraise themselves as the viable candidates. Then there's decision making. The decision making process might cause stress, again because of the responsibility. Depending on the weight of responsibility, it greatly affects how you make decisions and the importance of those decisions. Therefore, you will find that depending on their level of leadership, every decision that you make can become critical, and therefore it is very stressful whenever you have to make decisions that might not necessarily be liked by everyone or by majority of the people, but these are decisions that are necessary based on the information that you have, because leaders have access to a lot of information before they make judgments, and the public might not always have access to this information. So whenever you're making certain decisions, you are doing it with full comprehension of all the information that is needed, and therefore the decisions that you make can give you a lot of pressure as a leader if you're not careful. Then we have conflict. Whenever there's conflict, that will cause stress. Whenever there's conflict within your team, whenever there's conflict within the people that you lead, whenever there's conflict within your territory, so the places where the leader is, conflict causes stress, because when your team is in conflict, then it means you cannot function properly, and this causes worry because it affects your ability to deliver as a leader. Then there is accountability. Leadership is a very sensitive position, and you will be required to be accountable at many levels. So if you don't have a team that is well founded, you do not have systems that are proper, you do not have processes that are well laid out, then when you're called to account, then it might cause a problem and it might be stressful, especially when you are not fully confident of the processes that you have or that you operate with. Then the next point is public scrutiny. As a public leader, again, you open yourself up to the public opinions because you are a public leader. And the problem with publicity or public office is that you do not define the extent to which the public can scrutinize you. People might even cross boundaries and even go to your family. So those are the dangers that come with public office. Your life is shown in the public space, and this is very disheartening and it's stressful to especially leaders who have spouses or families that do not want to be in the public limelight. Then another cause of stress is media scrutiny. We know that politics and public leadership relies a lot on opinion, and opinions are shaped by what people read, the information they access, and how things are framed. And media plays an important role when it comes to framing discussions, framing conversations. So depending on the legacy of a certain media house, on the professionalism of certain journalists, they can taint your image and paint you out in a bad light. And we have seen where media houses have been misused, and especially now with the digital era where everyone just claims to be a journalist. It can be stressful whenever you have information, and especially when it's not accurate. Then there is the next point, which is social media attacks. In the era that we live in right now, it's very disheartening, and it's also good. It's a good thing and a bad thing at the same time, because of social media, the world has been turned into a village. You're able to communicate with people around the world. But the same way communication has been made efficient, we have people also who are just nasty. There are people who are out there to bully. There are people who are narcissists. There are people who just have personal struggles that they're dealing with. And therefore, you don't know who you're interacting with. You can be online, interacting with people with good intentions, wanting to get constructive criticism or feedback, but you have people who just want to taint your image. There are people who have been paid to tarnish your image. Therefore, there's a lot of social media attacks. There's a lot of use of artificial intelligence to maim leaders, and that causes stress to a lot of people, especially when what is being perpetrated is negative and false. Therefore, the last point that I had, the causes of stress, is corruption threats. When you're a leader, and especially when you're in an African country like Kenya, and you have the intention to be a straightforward leader, to lead with ethics and integrity, sometimes it's very hard to stand your ground when you are in a system where 90% of the participants in that system are corrupt. So the system has been wired to favor corrupt people, to just promote corrupt practices. So if you come with a different culture, you can be threatened. Okay, people threaten to cut your funding because it is something that is deeply entrenched, such that when you want to be different as a leader, the system opposes you. So there are threats when you don't want to participate in these corruption practices, and this causes stress to leaders who want to lead a straightforward life. Okay, so if we don't manage stress, because we have seen that based on the territory of leadership, stress comes with the package. It's something that you will have to encounter at one point or another. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So if we know that stress is there, if it is unmanaged, what does it do? Okay, what does unmanaged stress do? Number one, it causes burnout. So you feel like you are overwhelmed, you are overworked, you're thinking too much, you're responding too much, there's a lot you're handling at once, you're overworked, your mind is overloaded. So because of that stretching of your mind, stretching of your ability, there's what we call a burnout. This is where you reach the point of exhaustion. So you have extended your thinking capacity, you have extended your bodily function until you are worn out. So a leader who goes through stress and it's unmanaged, it will lead to burnout. So we need to manage stress. It is something that is there. If you don't manage it, it will lead to burnout. Number 2, emotional breakdown. So because stress is not only physical, it's mental. Whenever you're abused online, whenever there is social media attacks, whenever someone attacks your image, your character, so all these things affect your emotions, because the leader is human at the end of the day. You have emotions just like anybody else, and this might lead you to break down emotionally because you feel things. When they speak against you, these things, they hurt you, they impact you negatively. And when it comes too much to bear, you will break down as a leader. Then the next point is poor judgment. If stress is unmanaged, you will start making poor judgments because your mind is not in the optimal frame that you require to make sound judgments, because you are being pressured. You are under pressure. Therefore, you're not thinking straight. You do not have the clarity that you need to see everything in a larger scale. And therefore, you only see a thing within a limited scope because you are under pressure. And this causes you to make poor judgment because you do not have the full scope of information. Okay? The next point is you start making impulse decisions. This means that because you're pressured right now and people are on your nerves to do a particular thing, you are coerced, you are forced to make certain rash decisions so as to please those people or so as to deal with those things that the situation can get away from you or you can get done with it. So due to stress, people make impulse decisions which they regret later because this was not the best decision. You just made it in the heat of the moment so as to get done with a particular thing. Okay? The next point is anger outbursts. Because you're a human being, when you are pressured, you will erupt. Because you have emotions, you have a breaking point. There's a time that you will reach that you cannot handle it anymore. And we have seen leaders who are pushed to the edge, and they have no other option than to have anger outbursts. Because when you push something, it's like when you have a pressure cooker. I don't know if you know about the pressure cooker. When you put water in it and then you seal it, when the water is heated, the gas now looks for somewhere to escape. So because you have all these things that are just boiling up in you and you're holding up them and you don't have the right mechanisms to deal with them, then it leads to anger outbursts. Okay? Then the next point is substance abuse. We have seen people or leaders who have resorted to drinking, have resorted to engaging in drugs because the workplace just becomes too stressful. So you have all this pressure, you have all these decisions to make, you have all this weight on you as a person. There are decisions you have to make, there is pressure to deliver, there is expectation, there is criticism. So all this is directed at one person. And because probably you don't have the right way to release this, you resort to temporary distractions. So you need something that can take your mind off this world for a minute so that you can just get away from it. And because most people probably don't know how to cope with stress in a healthy manner, they resort to substance abuse. So when you take that alcohol or that drug, it relaxes your mind for a bit. It gives you the illusion that that problem does not exist. But sooner rather than later, you realize that when you are through that process or that period, the problem is still there. So it does not help in the long run. And then the next point is there's moral compromise. So if stress is unmanaged, you will compromise your morality, you will compromise your ethics, you start making decisions to please people, to get certain things off your back. So you're not doing the right thing. You're looking at the short term so as to relieve yourself of the uncomfortable situation that you are in. And if you're not careful, you will be pressured into compromising your integrity, pressured into compromising your standards. And pressure not handled correctly can lead to you compromising on your morals so as to just get done with that situation and return to a semblance of normalcy. Then the next point is relationships breakdown or relationship breakdown. So once or if you let stress take the better part of you, you become so not in your right senses, you become withdrawn from people, and this might affect the relationships that you have with your family, with the people close to you, because your mind will be always preoccupied with the things that you need to solve, the pressure that you're facing, the criticism that you're facing, your work, So all these expectations, they keep you in a loop such that you do not have time to wind down and just go and relate with your family on a human level. So you need to manage stress, otherwise it will cost you your relationship, and especially with your family. Okay, then the last one is health collapse. We have seen it time and number again that there are people who become ill, they start having conditions such as high blood pressure and just diverse health conditions because they have not managed this stress for a long time. And it starts internally with your mental state, and if it becomes prolonged, now the mental condition or the mental part now translates into a physical manifestation. So what starts as fatigue, what starts as your mind being clouded, now starts affecting your heart, starts affecting your memory, starts affecting your heartbeat, your blood pressure, and all these things. So if not checked, if not managed, stress eventually can lead to the collapse of your health as a leader. And how many types of stress are there? Okay, so we need to know how many, and we have 4 types of stress. We have internal stress, external stress, relational stress, moral stress. Internal stress are those that come from you as a person. What are the expectations that you have concerning yourself and that leadership role? So there is stress that comes from within you as a person. This is what I expect to achieve, but it is not going that way. So there are those of us who are perfectionists, there are those of us who have targets and all those. So internal comes from within you and your expectation of yourself. External stress comes from all these other things I've been mentioning: the media, the expectation, the opposition, okay, the public, and the rest. So this is other people or other people's expectations of you. Then there is relational stress. This is the stress that comes from the people close to you, that you function as a team or a unit. This could be your family, your team, your colleagues. So this can be, maybe there's loneliness, maybe the relationship breakdown between you and your family, probably there are infights in your team. So this comes with the groups of people that you surround yourself with, the functional teams. This could be your family, your colleagues, and your team. Then there's the moral stress. This is the stress that comes from your moral perspective. So moral stress comes from, there's a conviction that you're going against your moral standards, the ethics that you have. So when you're compromising, there is stress, because as a person, there is the culture that you're brought up in, there's the way you are functioned or you are wired. So once you start breaking these principles or these values that are core to your foundation as a person, then they begin to cause stress. They start causing stress within you. Okay, so I think the last thing we'll look at today before we finish the video is healthy stress management strategies. So we have looked at stress management, we have looked at the causes of stress, what happens when it's unmanaged, the types of stress. Now we're going to look at the healthy stress management strategies. We need to learn how to manage stress in a healthy, functional way as leaders. So we need to look at methods and ways in which you can manage stress the right way. So here are some of the strategies. Number one, emotional awareness. As a leader, you cannot afford to not know the emotional state of your being. You need to be aware of your emotional temperament. You need to be aware of how you respond when you're emotionally triggered. You need to be aware of your emotional state whenever your emotions are changing, whenever you're being triggered. So as a leader, you need to invest in understanding your emotional composition, how you respond to things, how your reaction is, and how do you manage this emotional state when it comes, when you're triggered. How do I control it? How do I contain myself? How do I manage my emotional levels? Then number two, spiritual discipline. Personally, I believe that every person must be spiritually sensitive and active, because a human being is three parts: mind, spirit, soul, body. And the Bible tells us that one who is in control of his spirit, I think, is better than one who is in control of a city, or something of the sort. I can't remember how the verse goes, but it compares the person who is in control of his spirit like one who is in charge of a city. That's how big or great it is. So if you are able to control your spirit, then it is easier to subdue your soul, because the spirit is higher than the soul. So if you're able to be in a stable state, if you're able to calm your spirit, then you'll be able to keep your soul in check, because the emotions are in the soul. So if you're able to subdue your spirit, then it becomes easy to subdue your soul. So you should have spiritual disciplines. Whenever you're anxious, pray, read your Bible. It gives you an assurance that the problem you think you're having is not that big. So it puts everything in the right context. That's why I like reading my Bible. It puts that problem in the right perspective, so that you don't magnify it beyond what it really is. Then the next point, you need to have physical care. As a leader, you need to take care of your body, eat well, exercise. Just take care of your body. Go for swimming, go out, enjoy fresh air, eat freshly cooked food. Stop eating packaged food. Stop eating food with a lot of oil. So just be intentional with your body, with your skin. Go out and swim, go out and take walks, enjoy fresh air, eat healthy, exercise. Okay, then time management. As a leader, you need to manage your time well. You are a human being. A human being is all-rounded. So no one thing should take excessive amounts of your time. Even though you're ambitious, divide your time correctly or accurately. Have time for work. Have time for your spiritual disciplines, your prayer, your meditation, reading of the word. Have time for activities. You can go out, have walks, go to the gym. Have time for reading. Have time. So divide your day into activities. So let's say you wake up at this time, do your prayer this time, read your Bible, meditate, go to the gym, go to work, eat at this time, do work at this time, leave work at this time, watch probably news or read a journal, write a journal, take a walk. So divide your day intentionally and apportion activities to your day so that your day becomes intentional. Let you manage your day. Don't let the day happen to you. Pour yourself intentionally to the day. If you pour yourself to the day, then you are in charge of how you spend your time. Don't let the day happen to you. If you intentionally engage the day, you are in control of a lot of variables. Then the next point is emotional expression. As a leader, know how or learn how to express yourself. Whenever someone has agitated you, do not hold up those emotions. Learn how to release them. Write them in a journal. Speak them out. Find a person that you can talk to, someone you can look for advice from. Just the aim is, whenever you have certain emotions that are building up in you, do not let them accumulate to a point that they will spill over and make you do things that are regrettable. When you notice you have certain emotions, probably anger, resentment, someone is irritating you and they're piling up, find ways in which you can pour them out. So you speak, find someone you can communicate to, and just find ways in which you can express those emotions so that they don't pile up. Then the next point is support systems. Always have a support system that can help you deal with stress. So if you're married, you can have a partner. If you have the finances, look for a therapist. If you don't have probably a partner and a therapist, look for a friend. You can look for a spiritual leader. You can look for a colleague who you trust in. You can always find someone who is willing to listen to you. And if you don't, then there are many communities, even online, who speak about the things you're going through. You can always reach out to them. There are a lot of communities out there of certain people going through what you're going through. So you can always go online and look for communities that you can plug in and get assistance in how to deal with the particular stress that you're facing. And then the last point is purpose reconnection. One thing that I've come to notice is that whenever we start a journey, we are very purposeful in what we want to achieve from it. But in between the journey, we get so soaked up with the intricacies of that journey that we lose our purpose. We lose sight of why it is that we began that journey in the first place. So when you see your life being flooded with all this pressure and stress, always go back to the original intention. Why did you begin this thing? Why did you start this journey? So if you're able to remind yourself, if you're able to connect with the vision, then it gives you clarity to see what is important and what is not. The reason why sometimes we allow all these things to influence us and give us stress is because we lose sight of why we started the thing that we started. So occasionally have an alone time with yourself and just reconnect to the purpose. Why did you begin that journey in the first place? Then it will give you the proper context of what is important and what is not. So that's the last point. and I hope that you have learned a thing or two. That's where I'll end the video for today, and I hope that at least you have gotten something concerning stress management. So from my end, I will see you next time, hopefully. And my name is Anthony. See you again. Cheers. Till next time.